Man, today we're going to turn our attention to a case that has left more questions than answers. The disappearance and death of 25-year-old graduate student Jelani Day.
I'm going to play a little snippet right now of an interview, and it was taken from 25 News Now. And this is Jelani's mom, Carmen Bolden Day, and she's speaking about some issues that she has with the way that the case was handled.
There's so many questions that I did not ask. There's so many things that I did not do. That initial day when I was looking for him, and now that I'm trying to retrace those things and go through those things, um, I don't get those answers.
Bolden Day says the Jelani Day Joint Task Force failed her, a group of law enforcement groups. She says they lacked urgency, treated her rudely, and dismissed information that could have assisted in the case for months.
For a whole year and a half, they missed a video of him punching in his code in his phone. I saw that video a year and a half later. I figured out the code in 10 days.
The family has created the Jelani Day Foundation to fight for equity and justice for missing people of color.
So, Jelani Day was a 25-year-old graduate student at Illinois State University in Bloomington, Illinois, and he was studying speech pathology. He was originally from Danville, Illinois, and he had been building a promising career and life.
Yeah, Jelani was very focused on his studies and his future, but in August of 2021, the life that he'd been building, it come to an end.
So here's what's known based on public records, news reports, and statements from law enforcement and the family. On August 24th, 2021, there was surveillance footage. It showed Jelani entering Beyond Hello, which is a cannabis dispensary, and that was in Bloomington around 9:15 a.m. Earlier that morning, he had also been captured on video at the Bone Student Center at ISU around 7:20 a.m. The following day, August 25th, again, this is 2021, when Jelani failed to show up for classes or respond to calls, his family and friends became concerned, and he was reported at that time to be missing. The following day, on August 26th, his vehicle, a white 2010 Chrysler 300, was found abandoned in a wooden area near Peru, Illinois, and that's about 60 miles north of Bloomington. This is odd. The license plate had been removed, and the vehicle's keys were missing too.
That is very odd. On September 4th, a body was found in the Illinois River on the south bank near Peru, and that's in LaSalle County. Due to the decomposition, it took time to confirm identification. But on September 23rd, the LaSalle County coroner confirmed the remains were those of Jelani Day. At that point, officially, the cause of death was ruled a drowning, but crucially, the matter of how he ended up in that river, that was never determined.
And though the official cause is drowning, the details around how Jelani ended up in the river, those are still uncertain. Over the years, Jelani's family, independent investigators, and the media have all pointed out a number of puzzling facts, and there are unanswered questions. And below, we're gonna talk about some of those.
The coroner's report and multiple law enforcement statements say there was no evidence of any prior injury or trauma before the death. However, Jelani's mother, Carmen Bolden Day, she has publicly disputed parts of that, especially given the severe
Decomposition.
decomposition decomposition that probably did limit a lot that they could do in the coroner's report. The coroner even states that the condition of the remains that did hinder and make the examination almost impossible.
Yeah. And some of his belonging locations, those raise further questions. His wallet, that was found separate from the car, and it was discovered in LaSalle County, north of the car's location. His ISU lanyard, that was found along Route 60, or no, US Route 6. That was kind of near where the body was located, but not exactly. The license plate from his car, as we said, that was removed. It was never recovered, and the screws were missing too. And then inside the trunk, the investigators found a journal. There was a marijuana blunt. There was a Tennessee license plate, which raises even more questions about how that plate got there.
Yeah, and all of these little parts of evidence, the items found miles apart, the removed plates, the missing keys, all of that has just fueled speculation about what happened in the hours or days before his death.
Yeah, and there's another focal point too, his cell phone. So in November 21, investigators located his phone. They forwarded it to the FBI, and that's where they did some forensic analysis. For a long time, though, the phone remained locked, and the investigators initially said it had nothing really of value. But according to his mom, Carmen, she and her children, they eventually unlocked the phone. They had, seen her son unlock it, Jelani, and they discovered content that law enforcement deemed not helpful or irrelevant. And then the phone, it had been disabled or something. So there was no tracking, like location tracking during those important hours.
Yeah, but still you have the question remaining. Did the data that they was able to get from the phone hold clues that went unanalyzed? And was it maybe possibly they just couldn't retrieve it?
Yeah. And then when the investigation began, multiple agencies became involved: the Bloomington PD, Illinois State University Police, Peru PD, LaSalle County, the FBI, the Illinois State Police. There was also a Jelani Day Joint Task Force that was formed, as you heard in that audio earlier, and that was to help coordinate the efforts as well.
Yeah, but in September of 2024, since then, that task force is not actively investigating in the sense of following new leads. There's no publicity, breakthrough reports, or new leads. In statements, law enforcement has said they remain open to tips, but currently they have nothing to work with. The official line is that it's a cause of drowning. The matter, accident, homicide, suicide, or other, that's not even determined.
And his mom, Carmen, she's publicly accused the investigators of neglecting leads. You kind of heard a little bit of that in the audio as well, but things that were mentioned were shoe prints. There was a radio found near the body. Jelani's clothing ended up on the opposite bank of the river. And she's also criticized that law enforcement held that phone for too long without unlocking it or analyzing it fully.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to know the answers to that as well. One more political development, and that's in July 2025. The U.S. Representative Bobby Rush, and he's a Democrat in Illinois, he sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland and also the FBI Director Christopher Wray, calling the federal investigation onto Jelani's disappearance and death to bring it to light. Rush notes disparities in how missing cases, especially those that are involving Black Americans, are handled to other more high profile cases. And I'm assuming he meant cases of those who are not of color.
Right. And for Jelani's mother, Carmen, obviously this case is deeply personal. And from the beginning, she has rejected the notion that her son died by suicide or even by accident. She's vowed to never stop fighting for the truth. She's organized and participated in fundraisers and awareness events through that Jelani Day Foundation. And at their all white gala event, The family underscores not only his memory, but also the larger issue of missing Black people whose cases often receive less attention.
Yeah, and in interviews, she has repeatedly emphasized her hurt at how the investigation was handled and her desire for accountability. She also supported a documentary in development titled Unheard, the Jelani Day Story. And she's asked why investigators ignored leads, and she believes that some of those leads were valid, why the phone was held locked, and why no one has been held responsible.
And because the official ruling left key aspects unaddressed, speculations and theories are all over the place. Below are some of the unresolved questions and hypotheses that have been proposed.
Yeah, like how did Jelani get into the river? Was he alone? Did someone else take him there? Was it accidental or was it intentional? What happened in his final hours? With his phone off, there's no witnesses, accounts, nothing was made public, and that timeline for him, that's pretty murky. There's just not a lot known.
Also, why was his car found so far from Bloomington in a wooded area? Why remove the license plate? Why leave the keys in a different place? Why was the trunk containing weird stuff? Were all the leads and physical evidence fully and timely processed? Were shoe prints, radios, fingerprints, DNA samples, and all these other clues, were they given thorough analysis?
Exactly. And why was the phone locked for so long? And where went the data? Was it lost? Or maybe was it just ignored? Could the phone held messages, calls, location data? I don't know, maybe it did have information that could have pointed to what happened. Is there also a possible of foul play, murder, or was this just an accident? Something else. We're not sure because the manner of death is undetermined. And of course, with that being the case, all possibilities still remain open.
Right. And some theories and possibilities. Let's go over those as well. There's the accidental drowning. So perhaps maybe Jelani wandered, he fell in the river, drowned, and was unable to call for help. But this theory struggles to explain how did he get to that location? How did his car get where it was? And why was the license plate removed?
There
Now,
is a lot of foot traffic and moving he would have had to have done before this. Yeah. And
right.
it didn't add up to make sense.
Yep. And then there's the suicide possibility. So investigators and the family, though, they all largely reject this. There's no known history of self-harm or anything like that. So that seems unlikely. Then there's the possibility of murder. So this is the theory that many of people in his family, his friends, community, they all think that this is what happened. Some point to the vehicle's abandonment, which is totally suspicious, the missing plate, which is odd, and then just his divided belongings. Why are they all over the place? And lastly, his phone being offline is odd.
Yeah. Could it have been a third party involvement? Maybe, possibly abduction? Some speculate that he may have been intercepted or forced, maybe possibly taken to the river and left there. Evidence, mishandling, or investigative oversight. Some suggest that mistakes and neglect in early stages degraded evidence, and it did compromise the case.
Well, and because, the manner of all of this is undetermined, all of these theories are viable, and who knows what really happened because of everything that we just went over. In
Yeah.
present day, October 2025, this case is still open. There's very limited visible progress. The Jelani Day Joint Task Force is said to be trying to get tips, but No active leads have really been talked about recently. There is a reward that's still active. There's public pressure that continues via media, community events, the foundation, calls to political figures, etc. So, they're trying to still keep this in people's view, which is why we're doing this. The 2025 gala that marked 4 years since his disappearance, and his mom used that gala to continue to push for justice. And in some of the local reporting, the official stance remains that the cause is drowning, but there's no manner of death. So I don't know.
Yeah, if you're listening and you have information or you want to help, you can share his story on social media, listen to podcasts, do podcasts. Somebody cover this as well. You can have community groups, and that does keep awareness high. If you live or travel through the area in Illinois, look up local calls for tips. If you have ever had contact with or saw someone matching his last known path, maybe you think that you could have seen him in that time in the late August. Maybe you recognize him, or maybe early September of 2021, that was around August and September, and you were possibly in that area. Contact the relevant law enforcement agencies, support organizations or foundations that amplify missing person cases, especially those involving Black Americans whose cases are often received less attention. That right there is that helps. If you can find pages on Facebook groups to share his name in, you can post about him.
Yeah. And his story, Jelani Day, say his name one last time. This remains a complete heart-wrenching mystery. A young life was cut short. His family is demanding accountability. The community, they want closure. They want this solved. So, like Amy just said, if you believe you have any kind of information, even if it's just something small, that could be the thread that unravels this truth here. So, try to rack your brain if you were in that area and contact those proper authorities.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, the pages on Facebook, I'm following some of those. Maybe start asking questions in those. Have someone look into them. Maybe you can get his name out there through that way. I mean, those avenues do work to keep the name alive. And also, side note, it is kind of relevant to what's been happening here recently. There's kind of a pattern of Black men who are classified to have committed suicide, and that is by hanging from trees. Their friends and family, they disagree and believe that those men are murdered. We just wanted to mention the two recent ones, and that is Trey Reed in Mississippi and Earl Smith in New York. We aren't going to get into the details, but we wanted to make sure that those names do get mentioned here.
Definitely, you know, it seems like a pattern in our history here. And, we it's such a touchy subject, and Amy and I want to make sure that we're really careful in our words and how we handle this because clearly neither of us, we're both white women, but it's important that as non people of color that we are all speaking out as well. So we just wanted to mention those two names because they really were recent. They were in the last few months. So,
Absolutely. And classified suicide as well, with questioning surrounding from family and friends. So, yeah,
yeah. All right. Well, next time we're back with our Ed Gein trio. We'll be covering paranormal. So,
exciting. We got a
yeah,
guest to work on,
I know we will, Tim.
Tim.
So, we will meet back here in 2 weeks. Amy and I talked about the timeline because I'm sure listeners who have been following us for a while know that we went from 1 week to 2 weeks because of our crazy lives. But, Amy has been going out more and trying to do paranormal lives, which is amazing. And in November and December, I will be in Ohio for a little while each month. So we're probably for now just sticking to the every other week, and then we'll reassess that, in a couple months and see what happens after my big holiday trips. And maybe, just maybe, we can get together during that time.
I think we can make it work.
Yes. All right.
I
So
forgot
we'll,
to tell you that I did talk to Shannon and he's like down. I don't know why I didn't text you that back.
oh,
Part of the time we were talking about it, I was texting you, but yeah,
that's
we're
funny.
gonna get together next month. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. All right. Well, we will meet you back here in 2 weeks for a Geen continuation. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and spread the word on not just Jelani, but also the other two stories that we mentioned at the end.
Yes, Trey Reed from Mississippi and Earl Smith from New York.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Till next time, guys. Bye.